Welcome to the Great British Pinball Podcast, and here are your hosts Scott Rundell and Neil McRae.
Holy extra episode, Batman. I bet you weren't expecting to see us. Some of you will be celebrating that we're here. Some of you will be wishing, not those goons again. I thought I had 2 weeks before I'd hear from them. Scott, it is a special edition of the Great British Pinball Podcast.
It is.
How are you, Scott?
I'm great, mate. Yeah. I'm mindful. I watched back our video before, right? I must have some sort of form of ADHD or something. I need to stop touching things because I'll click it and I could hear it. I could hear me pop in a bloody glue stick. And I thought anybody listening to this is going to be like, can you stop fiddling with that fucking thing? Promise you, my hands are like demons. They will sit here by the keyboard
Put
and
them on
do
your
nothing
head like that
for the duration of this show.
No
one said anything, but I can guarantee it would have wound me up, so I'm not going to do anything.
The thing is, it's like if you bang the table, you know, people hear that as well in the camera.
Yeah, you know, my wife does it all the time, right? She goes, I call it itchy legs. You know, you do that with your foot and it's resting against something and it'll keep jogging the screen. Absolutely, yeah. No, I get it.
I am Neil McRae. I'm joined in this special edition, as always,
by Scott Rundell.
Welcome, everybody, to the special edition. And it's been a hell of a week in pinball, I have to say. Quick news for me. Have I bought anything? I don't think so.
Well, you must have bought an XMEN.
I bought an XMEN, but
yeah. I was going to say, small purchase.
We'll get to XMEN. What else have I? There was something else I've bought. Oh, my John Wick arrived! Woohoo!
Oh wow! Okay, last year's news, great. Well done.
It's actually in the garage. I haven't even unboxed it.
Mate, do yourself a favor. Just send it back.
I like the game. I played it again. I was in the US, which obviously
we'll get into this, right? But I will say shortly just now. I mean, Stern, right? Stellar job with XMEN, but when you look at the previous games at the same price tag now, you're like, where is my value for money? That's what I'm thinking personally.
Yeah, okay. I think that's I don't know if I know the answer to that question. But I think, look, Scott, you as a buyer, you're allowed to have your buyer's intent, and
absolutely,
you're allowed to ask questions, right? And this is I think this is the difference for us as a podcast. We actually buy games, and between us, quite a decent amount of games, right?
I've spent way too much money on pinball recently, and I shouldn't be.
Probably more games than we should. But look, let's just get into XMEN.
Please, I'm dying to.
So look, and I am. So I was in Chicago last week for Papa 21, which we'll come back to, which was a great event, but we'll come back to it. And I just thought, you know what, this new game's out. I'm just gonna ping them an email and say, hey, I'm in town. Open your doors, I demand it. No, I didn't say that. I thought about saying that, but I thought
I just pictured you banging on the gates going, let me in!
Yeah, you bastards! No, not at all. I emailed Seth, and I said, hey Seth, I'm in town. He's a chance to have a chat with I buy games. We've got games on location. I run the club. I run events. I'm kind of a unique customer in that I do all of those things. And, let's have a chat. And also, can I play your new game? So he almost replied. He said, Neil, we'd love to have you come in.
Amazing.
Which was, I have to say, fair play to Seth. If I was in the middle of a product launch, and somebody will mail me, oh, Neil, we want to come and see you, I'd be like, no, probably not the best time. I don't know. I think it's and I very much was sensitive to the fact that there's a lot going on in a launch. They've got press, they've got licensors, they've got production staff, very conscious of that. So when he said yes, I was actually surprised, but I was giddy as hell. And then he pinged on the time, and they said, yeah, look, this is good time for us, and always good. So I was kind of like, I want to tell everyone.
I bet.
Um,
I mean, look, even when you told me, I was like, I just had to tell no one. Only one I told was my wife, which is safe bet because she doesn't talk to anybody in the pinball community. So it was super exciting. I mean, the fact that you've got to try it before everyone else, really, it's really cool.
yeah, and so I went down there on Thursday morning. So I got into Chicago Wednesday afternoon. I went to the Papa venue, helped them set up a little bit, did a few things for them. Then Thursday morning, met with Mark Wena, who is, as I understand it, is in charge of all the kind of mechanical development. He's also a car nut like me.
Okay.
So Mark turns up in this amazing 1977 blue Porsche 911. I mean, you
Wow.
could hear this thing; it was nuts. And he goes, "Hey, Neil, you're here. You're early." I was early only because I didn't. I like.
You didn't want to be
I'm
late.
well, and also in Chicago. Well, it's kind of suburbs of Chicago, Chicagoland. Traffic, whatever. I went probably a long, like Waze was saying it'll take 10 minutes something, and maybe it'll be 20. So I went a bit earlier. Anyway, we were chatting. I think I've met Mark once before, but we were chatting about cars, and actually the thing I got from Mark, he's kind of a mechanical genius. He's in, if something's mechanical, he's kind of into it. So
Cool. Yeah, sure.
cars, he's got he's got a car kind of set of cars that are just stunning, and very much. Excuse me. One of the things I picked up whilst I was in Chicago was a cold. Apologies. You're going to hear a bit of sneezing and coughing, pinball fans, but let's try and get through this. Anyway, Mark, great guy, knows his shit about technical stuff. Has worked on tons of games. His son Nick works at Stern as a game tester, and
Okay.
actually I met with Nick as well. So yeah, we go in into new factory. There's lots going on at the Stern factory. They're gearing up for Pinball Expo. I think if you're going to the Stern factory tour in as part of Pinball Expo, the first thing I'm going to say, you're in for a treat. They are doing a lot to make it a big kind of gig.
That's cool.
So they're getting they're fixing things in the building. They moved into this building, I think, in a hurry. They're putting things right. Again, they never told me that. That's just the sense I got. Anyway, I meet with Seth, Jack, and Mark, and Seth's telling me about we kind of get right into it, and he's talking about I said, look, I'm a Bozo customer here. I do events. I've got games at home. I've got games in a club. I travel across the world and play pinball everywhere. How can I help you guys? What have you got questions for me? Have you got things that you need to know? And they asked me some questions, and but also told me some stuff like the thing I got from Seth was he's definitely got a customer centric mindset.
Okay.
If we're doing something, what does it mean for the customer? That came out. I mean, and I've met Seth a couple of times. I
Give
met
me
him
an
at the
example.
pod. So, we were talking about Insider Connected, and that kind of led us into talk about the menu system on a game. And he says, "Look, that menu system is terrible. We want to make it easier." They'd made a ton of the Jurassic Park home games. They made a change to that game so you can put the balls in without taking the glass off. Right now,
Oh, really?
that to me, as a hardcore pinballer, is like, well, but actually, let me tell you, taking glass off in a location or at home,
Yes.
oh, it's scary shit,
Well,
man.
the location, especially when you've got people around and all that. Yeah. So, yeah.
100%. So they've been, look, how can we make this more user friendly, and also the end user, not the operator or the distributor, but the actual end user, which historically in pinball has not been at the forefront of thinking. I would suggest, rightly or
No.
wrongly, I
Even
don't know.
though weirdly, isn't it? I forget. Everyone argues those statistics of where the sales are now in terms of operators versus, let's just call them collectors. some say 50-50, some say 70-30 in favour of collectors to operators. Where do you think it sits?
I mean, I think in the US it's hard to call because there's so many barcades now.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise me if in the US it was something like 50-50. That would not surprise me,
Okay.
with operators still being a big part of sales. In the UK, it's like I buy more than any operator in the UK. You know, it's just it's probably 90-10. Would be my guess, and I would say probably similar in the whole of Europe. Although a small, the share might be different, but I think the overall pie is smaller in Europe. But
Sure.
growing. Well, we're seeing more pinball locations. Pinball Heaven announced a gig with the N60, is it N64 guys, where he's supplying them with games, which is great news. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's a hard one to call market size, and yeah, and also you got to remember it's a discretionary cash hobby. Whilst people have got money to burn, they'll spend it. Whilst if times are tight, the first thing that gets cut are things like pinball and
Sure.
the things that don't require you to.
Yeah, just makes me wonder if that's, as you say, if they are seeing that kind of 50-50 split, even in the US, that should make them more user-centric.
Well, there's no question. So this, they had all these. They announced this deal through Costco where they're selling the Jurassic Park home game. There's a ton of them ready to be shipped out.
Right.
They've manufactured.
I heard they changed away from the MDF playfield back to an original
Yeah,
plywood.
I honestly don't know. We didn't talk much about it, but so what I got from Seth is look, there are things that we want to do to make it easier for users to use the games, right?
Yeah.
One of them is on the home editions, making it easier to put the balls in where you're not taking that glass out, and there's the risk of the glass, but also just makes it easier to get the game up and running and built.
Yeah.
The second thing he talked about was the menu system, and I did remind him and actually, unfortunately, George Gomez couldn't be there. A personal thing. He had to be there. He actually pinged me and said, "Sorry, no, I'm not going to be there." And he said something. He
Nice
apologized.
for him to even message you, to be honest.
No, well, nothing to apologize for, George.
Yeah.
You're busy, but he wasn't there, and George's such a great guy. I learned a lot about pinball just watching some of George's talks. And the thing I reminded Seth and the team about is, look, the menu system, great. If you're going to improve it, awesome. That's brilliant. Well, no one's going to say that's a bad idea, but you'll be forgiven for a crap menu system. You won't be forgiven for a crap pinball experience. So I reminded of the George Gomez. I've said this on the podcast before. In the game, what's the ball and flippers? And that's the thing to focus on. People will put up with a janky menu system for a bit, and they've improved bits of it with Insider Connected. But I get a sense that's something that they're working on in the background. They didn't say it specifically, but he said, that's something we want to improve.
Probably come with a Spike 3 release, I imagine. Anyway,
if Spike 3, and actually I didn't even talk about Spike 3. I didn't even ask. Actually, X-Men could be a Spike 3 game. I don't know. I didn't ask that.
I'd be surprised
actually,
if it was, but yeah.
As a pinball player, I don't give a shit. I want the game to play. If it's Spike 3, Spike 400, if the game's great, I don't care. That's the point I'm making, which is, it's great if these things have a improvement for customers. Of course, the biggest improvement we want is a better game.
Yeah. So, Colin, that's a good segue then. Let's talk about X-Men.
Yeah. So look, I was only there for like a couple of hours. I didn't want for 2 years. I mean, I could have stayed there for probably as long as I wanted, but I felt kind of. I didn't want to, and these guys have got things to do in the space of a couple of days. They'd feed up some time for me, so I didn't want to take the piss or anything. But I also, I wanted them to get as much value out of me being there as I was going to get out of playing this game, right?
Sure.
So look, yeah, we went into Stern. Have got like the room that they stream from. It looks like a mini arcade or mini barcade. It's a lovely little room. It's got all their accessories and awards and games in it. And they had the game in there. I predominantly played the LE.
Okay. Just so what, they had the Pro there for you to try as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
And I predominantly played the LE, and basically Jack, who was there, he was super excited to show. In fact, he said to me, "Neil, you're the first non-Stern person to play the game," which I was like,
Wow.
"Ooh, cool." Not that I cared about that. I just wanted to play it, and
Yeah, I
I
can
did say,
imagine.
I said, "Look, guys, if I don't play this now, the first time I'll play it is probably when my LE arrives." Or if it arrives before Expo, I'll play at Expo, right? But more often than not, for us, here in Europe, the first time we're playing games is when they get delivered quite often,
Yeah.
or it's like, lots of people were
It's the
playing.
whole site of, isn't it? Play sight unseen, really. It is
Yeah, I
just
mean, lots of
and
people were
hope the game
playing.
doesn't suck.
Yeah, lots of people were playing, the games at Pinfest, like Elton John. I played that a year ago, but it was the first time people were playing. It was at Pinfest.
Yeah, it's true.
So anyway, they basically said just dive in, Neil. So hit the start button, plunge the ball, and just started to play. And I was probably kind of under kind of prepared for playing the game. But the first thing I noticed about it right away in playing the game was there was a lot of shots. In my mind, I could see a lot of shots,
Sure.
right? And I start flipping the ball, and I'm not a great player. I'm okay. If I spend a lot of time practicing, I can play good on a game.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn how to play, and the stuff going on the screen. Um,
Are you allowed to talk about like the game itself? Like, just
yeah, I'm
you don't
gonna.
have to say a thing, but I just want to
So
understand the
Stern,
premise of
look,
the game. What's the
what
goal?
what they said to me was, Neil, use your own judgment.
Okay.
That's why I wanted me to give them value as
Sure.
well as me get value from them, because maybe 6 months from now, hey, I'm in Chicago, can I pop round? I want them to say, yeah, Neil, come round, right?
Sure. Sure.
But people also know me as I don't take a lot of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm playing the game, and the first thing you notice about the game is, yeah, it looks busy from the photos, right?
Yeah.
But actually it's more open than it looks, right? And that's because Jack has moved the game kind of sideways.
Well, yeah, you've got a non-Italian bottom, as they call it,
Yeah,
which, by the
I
way,
would
just
call
for
it.
everyone who's not understanding of that, because I didn't actually know what the hell that meant when people started talking to me about it. Very, very short, like a brief description. Basically, a game was shipped. I think it was like, I'm trying to remember. It was some Bally game. You would know it. You have it, I'm sure. It was one of your ones with the lion on the back glass.
Oh,
Is it Pandora? What it's called?
Paragon,
Paragon.
right?
Yeah, I think the story goes apparently it was Paragon was being shipped to some Italian operator, and before it went out, they said, "Oh, could you do something about the design so that it follows a kind of an in-lane, out-lane slingshot approach?" But a lot of people saying they like to be able to stage the ball, and they have a cigarette or they have a drink, and then apparently that's how the story came out. It was just they called that design that standard Stern layout that we've seen for forever, where you've got the in-lane, out-lane slingshot Italian bottom. I didn't know that. So that was something new for me. So yeah, I was just letting people know that little bit of trivia in case they didn't know. Again, can't be 100% on that. It's just what I've read. It could
Yeah,
be
I,
completely
I, I
wrong,
do
but
know that there was something done to Paragon to make it more like an Italian bottom. I don't know if I don't know if it was the first one,
I
but
don't
the
know if that's
Italian
what
bottom
spurred
is,
the conversation. But yeah,
yeah, the Italian bottom is, as you said, two flippers, out
yep,
lanes, and a hole in the middle, right? That
yeah,
is what we've come to realize is the pinball standard, right?
yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
and
so you go back to like what Jack's done on his design
yeah,
then.
so
So
he's moved it along such that the plunge lane is part of the outlane drain, right? It's a stroke of genius in my view, because it's given him a
okay,
load of space on the other side of the game. So if you soft plunge,
right,
you drain pretty much right
wow,
away.
okay.
You'd
So what
have to
happens when you press the button? Just say like the
press the button,
lazy
it just
option.
launches the ball basically.
Right. Okay. So
Um,
safe option sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and the ball, and honestly, my brain's kind of fizzled with trying to take a lot in at the same time.
Sure.
but the game feels a lot wider than it looks. The audio's great. I just had I couldn't tell you, I couldn't sing a tune or tell you anything about the audio other than it was there and I could hear it, and it was it kind
Did
of.
it try and capture, and again, you may not be able to say, did it try and capture the original 90s kind of intro X-Men? Or was it its own take on it? Or was it completely
No,
different?
it was definitely. So I haven't watched a whole lot of Marvel X-Men. What is it, 92, 82, or what is it called? 97,
X-Men 97's the kind of
97.
sequel, but
I've
yeah,
watched
go
a
on.
couple of them. I don't know it that well. What I do know is I used to read X-Men comics, right?
Sure.
This feels like an X-Men comic, no question about it, right? Now, the video, and again, look, the code, I'm sure again, I didn't talk about code with them because I know it's a process they go through, and I've been through it with them often enough. The code is early, no shit, right?
Okay.
It's a new game. But it had animations, it had effects, there was light shows, but I'm sure by default I know there's more to come on it. What I got from the code was there's modes, you select a mode and you play the mode, right? That's
Okay.
probably my big takeaway from the code.
Does it feel a little bit like Avengers? We have to assemble a team, or is it not like
Um,
that?
I honestly don't know the answer to that question. What I got
Okay.
from the code is it felt like Deadpool, right?
Interesting. Okay.
And that you've locked the ball's locked somewhere. It gives you a choice of modes. You pick a mode you play, right?
Okay.
I didn't get deep into the modes, but one, because I'm a crap player, and two, because I just didn't have time. And what I wanted to explore were the shots, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's hard. The thing that you experience in pinball are the shots, right? You don't experience the video screen. Well, you do, but you're not. It's not. You can
It's not the
experience
main
the video
feature.
screen on
Yeah.
YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Or on the stream. But what I wanted to get a feel for was the shots. Holy shit, Scott! The shots are unbelievable in this game.
This is
You
what you
hit
were
a
telling me on Thursday. It
you
was
hit
like,
a shot. I
yeah.
was like, oh my fucking god! I was like, you hit a shot and the ball goes.
That's what I thought was. I wondered if that was just being played up for the video, or whether you
No,
captured that
no.
experience. So that's good to know.
Every shot has got this insane ball path to it. It's mental. I was
Love
like,
it.
and also I'm like, where the f did that go? And I actually had to step around the game to look and say,
Do you know,
my god, how did
that's
he do that?
exactly what I love about old games, where sometimes you just cannot predict where the hell the ball's going to go. That's why I love Subways and that. That's why it was
Honestly,
very much like classic. That's why it feels like to me, and in the best way, I'm not trying to insult Stern at all here. What they feel like they've captured for me is a Bally's Williams era game.
I think, there's definitely elements of that. There's elements of other games, Gottlieb and
Sure.
stuff like that. But when I was looking at it, Jack, I caught it caught me at the eye, and I've known Jack for, I don't know, since 2016. I met him at Expo in 2016. Actually, he was really friendly he helped my wife with something in pinball. He's such a positive, friendly guy. He was watching for my reactions.
Love it.
And he was loving this because, again, this was someone brand new to the game, had never seen it before, and I'm playing, and the ball's going this way, and he's like, he wants to tell me what to do, but he also
He wants you to explore.
to explore it a little bit, right?
I get that.
So I'm playing, and I was getting all these shots, and the flow. Look, I love Steve Ritchie. He's one of my favorite designers, right?
Sure.
He's known as the king of flow. I think there's a challenger to the king, the crown.
Nice.
I genuinely think, and look, there's definitely things that I'm sure Jack has been influenced by, but in terms of flow, I look at High Speed 2 Getaway, right? The Getaway. And the ball paths on that with a thing is just cool. It feels like Jack's tried to, there's only one of them in the supercharger thing. I can't forget what it's called. There's only one of them in that game, but Jack's like created 20 of them in the game because there's so many of these different paths.
Well,
And
I'm
one
desperate
path,
to ask you, how did they sort out that ball lock by the left ramp as it feeds in. Everyone says it's a wire or something, and I like Stumbler even.
It's a little finger.
It's a little
A
finger.
tiny little
I
finger.
thought they'd magnetized the ramp or
So
something.
I
was
thought
like,
that too, but then I looked and thought, crikey, that's going to... If they'd magnetized it, I could just see the game going on fire. It'd just be so hard to do. It's a tiny finger that just grabs a hold of the ball. It's freaking invisible, though. You have to look for it, mate.
That's crazy.
So when
It's clever ingenuity, though.
I
Because
thought
it does look like a magic trick, doesn't it? It's like, oh, it's hovering. It's like, oh, that's cool.
And this is the thing. They told me it was a finger because I was looking at it thinking, I think that magnet's cool. Like, no, it's a finger. And he showed it to me.
Crazy.
And I was like, oh my God. It is so cool. And they made a conversation about, this is the thing that makes pinball different from everywhere else because you didn't just buy that off shelf.
No.
You had to invent that whole
They had
thing.
to fab that, yeah.
And so, I'm hitting these shots and then Jackson, hit this shot here. And actually, it's one of the more tougher shots, at least for me. Might not be for other players, but there's kind of two ways of getting that kind of loop that takes you to the danger zone.
Oh, yes.
And I'd got one of them, and I got in there. Actually, I got in there pretty early, and that feels like a great little platform for these kind of danger moments. Again, I'm focused on.
How did you find the danger zone? Did you find it like really scary going in there? Going, this is like I'm going to enter a ball drain situation, or did you feel actually this is pretty safe? I can make the shot out.
I was so hyped about being there playing this that my normal brain functions had stopped, Scott. I just, I was trying to, I just wanted to be able to have a decent game and feel that I had played this game well.
Yeah.
But there's two ways into that, or at least I think there's two ways. There's probably more, but there's two ways. There's this kind of shortcut route, and there's a longer way.
Sure.
And then there's this one thing that just blew my mind. I hit the ball up a ramp. It goes to this finger, and the finger flicks it back, and it comes down the ramp. But it comes.
So the sentinel hand finger blocks it and then flicked it back.
And then flicks it back,
and
it comes down the ramp. But it
so I thought that was just a simple lock memechanism.
It's just like literally flick, and it works so well. I was like, wow, and it's something in pinball, have you ever seen something deliberately kick the ball back down the ramp? No.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is Freddie's hand from the Gottlieb era sort of thing.
And there's elements of that, but but the thing is again the geometry's done so that actually that's not going to, you need to be alive for it, but it's not going to screw you. It's not going to go straight down the middle, which I thought that was awesome. And actually, I tried to do it again. I couldn't hit the freaking shot.
Do you not feel though like this is for me? I think when I listen to like you talk about Godzilla in the past, or any other game that Stern's made, or any JJP game for that matter, this is the first game I feel that they've actually gone and created some magic behind the game. Do you know where you go? How have they done that? How have they done this? That to me is really like cool. To be honest, it's like it reinvigorates your interest in the game, in pinball in general. To me, I think that's
a fair observation, Scott. I am, if I look at my games right now here, what is similar to that. And actually,
that level of ingenuity, if you see what I'm saying. I'm not taking away from the building because the building in Godzilla is very cool, but
you kind of know it. You kind of know how it works, right?
Yeah, you could see how it worked.
And actually, probably the closest to that is the TK lock in Stranger Things, right? Which hasn't been great as a mech, right?
You say it was a bit flaky, right?
Yeah,
but this one sounds like it was working straight away. There was no weird glitches.
I mean, there was no issues with any of the game mechs. The game. They did say that it's a prototype, right?
Sure.
It's not a production model, which again is normal for Stern. But there was no weird ball sticking, or the game got confused or lost a ball, which some manufacturers put games out like that into production. So again, this worked as you'd expect it. Just the way the ball went and you're trying to. I was just trying to map out in my brain if I need to, if I want the ball to be here,
Yeah.
what shot am I hitting to get it
See,
there?
that's cool. To
Yeah,
me, already I can feel like this game's going to be one of those games where people discover new ways to play it
yeah,
just purely on just
100%.
discovering it, getting better with it. Do you see what I'm saying?
100%, and then and then I can also see all sorts of kind of cool insider connected stuff being linked up with it.
Nice.
I could see some challenge modes, that would be different. I don't know if they're going to do this. I didn't speak to them about it. It's just my brain started thinking, what else would I add to that when I left the floor. So yeah, I must have played, I don't know, for about an hour.
Wow, they let you a whole hour. That's cool.
Yeah, and
Was that like split time between the LE and the Pro, or
no, I predominantly played the LE.
okay?
They were kind of keen for me to play. It's the game I'm buying, frankly. So
Yeah, of course. But it's always interesting to see
well, I mean,
for
the
people
pro.
who are going to be buying the Pro, which
Yeah, I mean, look, I would say
yeah, go on.
on the pro, you're not going to lose any gameplay factors. And actually the one thing that was cool, the one mech that was actually really really cool was this captive ball, kind of three-dimensional captive ball.
The Beast Lab, wasn't it? I think
Yeah,
it's
I
called.
don't know what
Yeah,
it's called, but I was hitting that thinking, oh, that's an excellent shot, and it kind of because it has such an impact on the play field in terms of movement.
sure.
Captive ball, you hit it and you like something flat, but you can't really see much of it. Whereas this is kind of like a skeleton. It's like all the
It's like a
skin off the
spire.
captive bell, and
Yeah,
you can see the physics of it, right?
sure.
And for me, I was like, oh wow, that's really cool, and I wanted to hit it a few more times. And that's the thing, which is the every time I hit a shot, I was learning something about the game and it's not. I can't think of a shot that was, a shot that I'd seen in another game.
That's
You
what I'm
know,
thinking. Is like that there's a lot in this game, right? And I go back to this, value that you're getting now in the game. This is what made me go, because I said to you ages back, I'm done with new in box.
yeah,
As soon as you buy it, it's like you've tanked the value. I think to me, this one doesn't matter so much because I'm willing to bank that this game will become the new number one purely based on the fact that it's got so much in it. It's got like, I thought it was two magnets, but obviously it seems like it's one, but that's still cool. And then obviously it's got so much in it, like the destructible ramp. You haven't even
yeah,
touched on that yet.
yeah.
That's what I mean. It's so crazy. It's like there's so much in it. Even the head coming up, we haven't talked about that
Yeah,
yet.
I mean, the head comes up and you hit it, and it fires the ball back at you. The disruptor
Yeah,
that
yeah.
goes. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, Scott. Some of this is a bit of a blur to me because I was like, there's so many
I
things
can
happening,
imagine. That's what I mean.
right?
It's cool. It's
Um,
credit to them. I cannot believe that after, because I always thought from in my head, right? It's Keith Elwin. He's going to have the bigger bomb. He always will. They're not going to give this kind of stuff to Jack. And Jack, when he does his game, it'll be a nice game, but it'll be a bit like Venom. It
yeah,
will probably be our by, but he's completely like blown this one out of the water for me.
I think that there's an over focus on bomb.
Maybe.
Everyone thinks there's a number. I'm not convinced there's a number. I think there's how fun is this game going to be, which means how many will we sell, which means, okay, it needs to look, we kind of think it's going to be this.
Okay.
But I
I
think,
tell you what I thought was interesting, right? And it's just listening to other people in the community.
yeah,
Would you agree that X-Men's a niche?
no.
No, I wouldn't
No.
either. But for some reason, that phrase has been coined around. To me,
Which
X-Men is
community?
probably one of
The
the.
UK community.
Yeah, I'm not going to
Yeah,
say
but
who
they're
because
all
it's not.
idiots.
Okay, but
I'm just
anyway,
kidding.
I was just taken back by the fact that someone would call X-Men niche because in my head it's like the one kind of
A boomer.
franchise that completely traverses any generation. Like you can be Gen Z, you can be millennial, you can be boomer. It doesn't matter. You will.
No.
I think well Gen X at least, but
Gen
yeah,
X, 100%. Because
yeah.
I know X-Men in
But wasn't
Edinburgh.
X-Men all the way back in the 70s and
Oh,
60s, wasn't it?
it's been around for a long time. But I
Yeah, yeah.
remember, I don't. Actually, let me just Google that. But when I was a kid, I September 1963 was
There you
when it
go.
first
Yeah.
came out, right? Again, another Stan Lee. I mean, the guy's just a genius, right?
He is, isn't he? Or at least he was. Rest in peace.
Was, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He gave us some phenomenal. I know there's a lot of Marvel overload, but I just find it insanely entertaining. I saw the Wolverine
Deadpool
Deadpool
versus Wolverine.
movie, just
Yeah, yeah.
epic movie. Just they've smashed it. It's so good, right? But
Sure.
look, X-Men. I used to when I was a kid. I lived in Edinburgh. There was a shop called the Science Fiction Bookshop, and I would go there and sit on the floor and read the comics. I couldn't afford to buy them,
Right.
and most of the folks around there I would say, I think comic books of that era are the boomers. Not many. I think Gen X is where it really rolls up. So when people say, "Oh, X-Men's niche," I'm going to say they're in the boomer category. I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
It's not a criticism or anything. I just think is in different, and even in Gen X. I mean, I used to, as at school, I'd read comic books and and everyone was into football. Like, look at that geek with these comics, right? I used to get the
Sure.
piss ripped out of me. Now all these fuckers that took the piss out of me are queuing up to watch the movies, right? It
It is weird how geekdom has become more mainstream, hasn't it? It really
absolutely,
has.
it's glorious from my perspective, but. Even my mum would be like, Neil, what are you wasting your money on this shit for, right?
Yeah, I get that.
You know, so it's kind of it's kind of weird, but
I'm genuinely excited to get this game. Like,
I am. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was like, hey guys, how do I get this game home right now? Can you how quick? I mean, I had that comment like, how quickly can I get one, and like, can I air freight it? And I want this game badly,
I bet.
very badly.
You must have been
Unfortunately,
super privileged though to try that. I think it's very cool.
look, it's hard to be thankful enough. Stern, they're a big company. They took, their CEO and some of their key employees, took a few hours out to
Yeah.
spend time with me. A very,
Because as you say,
very,
we're not sponsored. We're
nah,
not sat here being evangelists of the brand. I think for them to take time out of their busy schedule to let you play it for a full hour, that's
yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
really good.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like I said, they're launching a new game. The last thing they want is the distraction of kind of managing someone at their factory. And that's the thing. It is a factory. It's not like an
Sure.
office.
Sure.
Actually, on the line was Rush. If anyone's interested, they were making rushes. And I mean, that factory is just there's something about it. Scott, you've got to go there because once you've been to that factory, it just changes your perspective. There's a coolness about that place
I bet, yeah.
that I just can't explain it.
I would love
And
to have gone to Expo this year, to be honest, but
yeah,
yeah.
look, next year start planning now, right?
Yeah,
The
definitely.
the other the other thing I'd say is again, this is a hard thing to explain, but I have experienced something that I've experienced. I worked for a company where, there's companies where you get, you work there and there's so much political bullshit, people trying to score points against each other, blah, blah. I've worked in those companies. In fact, most of the companies I've worked in have been like that.
Sure.
But there was one company I worked for where we had this kind of joint accountability or union on here's what we've got to do. And that I worked there for 5 years, and it was the best 5 years of my career. It was just insanely good because everyone was trying to help each other be successful. And when I was in Stern, and I've been there a few times, and I've sensed it. When I was there last week, Stern is all about, and again, maybe this is slightly me being naive as an outsider, but what I got is these guys are doing really cool stuff right now, and they're all pushing each other to win and be successful.
That's
And
cool.
Jack told me, when he had this idea for doing this sort of game, the first person he had to convince was Gary Stern, and Gary's been through.
Oh, so just so I understand it then, he wasn't assigned X-Men, he requested it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. So
Okay.
forget the title.
Okay.
Um, I think he had already been given the title, but I don't honestly know that for sure, right? So don't read into that. But what he said to me was what he wanted, and he said it took me a year to build this game. He said I went to Gary and said I want to do something different, and he took Gary through it, and Gary gave him the green light. And look, Gary Stern has been through the ringer on the ups and downs of the arcade industry, right?
Sure, yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, okay, Jack, go for it." And Jack, this is his third game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, it's completely, as I say, gone against the standard, so to speak, as in terms of the layout in the bottom third. So
yeah, not just Stern, but every game, right?
yeah.
It's different to Williams, it's different to Jersey Jack, it's different to
Well, that's what I
Bally, it's
mean.
different to
He's sat there and
PGC.
just gone, yeah, I'm going to do something completely different. And it's weird, actually. When you think about JJP, they've always been the ones I've always seen as the guys that have gone, we're going to make something different to everyone else. We're going to put more of the world under the glass than anyone else, right?
Yeah, but I would say that they've put the world that we all expect under the glass.
Maybe.
Not the world we don't expect.
Yeah, well, I'll give you that, absolutely, because with what Jack has done here, at least in my book, is I mean, I'm in like I'll talk a little bit about what I'm doing at the moment, right? Because I'm making my own homebrew. I've
Yeah.
kind of leaked, done a teaser around here about it, and people were like, "Oh, is it going to be a retheme?" It's not. It's a homebrew, and I've been toying around with visual pinball and a whole slew of. I've gone down a complete rabbit hole of the homebrew community. It's dark down there. I can tell you. There's so many different paths you can go with all of it, and it's always led to me to go down Italian bottom. I've never seen anything other different because to me that's just the logical approach for a pinball machine. I've seen the kind of early EM stuff where it just felt like it was cheating you, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
Yeah.
I honestly thought
Random.
that design was the standard, and it should be. It's the golden standard. But Jack's gone and said, I could do something different. And I like that. I really am excited about that. That to me is like I could never have done that because I just one, I don't have the
And look,
experience, but two, I just admire him in a business sense, taking that kind of risk.
And it's a big investment. You think, how big is the team that build a pinball machine? It's got to be
Yeah.
$1 million. It's got to be $1 million worth of salaries, right?
Sure.
10, 20 people for a year. So look, fair play to Stern, fair play, and Jack. Well done for going out on a limb.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, everyone that was there, Mark, Nick, Wason, everyone, Zach, that were all there. Again, thank you for putting up with me for a couple of hours. It was great to be there. And I genuinely think people are going to play this game and really like it.
I hope so.
And I hope they sell a gazillion of them because for me, like I say, I came away thinking I've never played a pinball machine like that. That was my in the car. I was sitting in my car in the Stern car park, thinking, how do I? I was just thinking, how am I going to share this? Because my mind's forgotten about as much as it remembers, because it was like, and I said,
oh, I did forget to ask you.
Yeah.
This feels important. I don't think people will be biting at us to ask this. How did it feel about the flipper gap? Did that feel being a problem?
Yeah. No, so there's actually a post there. There's a center post, right?
Yes.
It's hard to see the center post, right?
Okay.
For me, I'm a center post fan. I love them.
Sure.
My favorite games: Meteor, Nine Ball, Stars. These are older games, but they've all got a center post. One of my other favorite games, Spider-Man, it's got a center post. Jackpot's got a center post. Center post is another thing in pinball you have to learn to work with.
Sure.
I'm used to it. I trust the center post. I know what it's going to do. So when there's a ball hurtling towards the center post, bang, goes off. You control it. You take a shot. I love the center post. I'm excited about there being a center.
Did it come into a lot of use, do you think, when you were playing it?
No, and it doesn't, because if you're hitting the center post a lot, you're draining a lot.
Okay.
is my.
So
I mean,
that's
don't
what
get me
I'm
wrong.
trying to get at. Did the game feel like it was trying to correct a geometry issue by
No,
having the
no,
center post
no,
there?
no. It was very.
Okay.
So Jack told me one of the first things he put into the game was the center post at the start.
Oh, okay. So he did it
So,
regardless of the
so he
design.
has designed the
Okay.
game around that shape, right?
Sure, sure.
And again, I love it. I love the center post. If you want to learn how to play a center post game, come to Pinball Republic and play 9-ball all day, right? You will learn very quickly how it works, when to flip, when not to flip, and there is a difference to that, right? If you love pinball, you'll love to learn that difference. And most people that have been in pinball for a while will have experienced this at some stage in their pinball career. But again, Jack put out a video yesterday, I think, of some of the different things that they tested in the 3D pinball platform. I don't know what it's called, but he put that
Is
video
that
out.
their digital software where he's trying out the game before he's
Yeah,
made a
I don't
whitewood?
know if
I would love having access to
I
that.
think that's a publicly available thing, though. I don't
I
think it's
don't
a
know.
Stern thing.
If it
Is it?
is, it. I found some. So, again, I don't want to detract from what we're discussing here, but I've spoke to a guy that also is making a piece of software that he says isn't ready yet to go to market, and he's been able to emulate an X-Men play, the game
Yeah.
pretty much one-to-one in his software. And I had wondered if Jack had used that. He said no, they've got their own software. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether that's true or not. But again, as I say, like I'd love
Well, it
access
would
to
make
it because I
sense
use
because
visual pinball and
yeah,
it's clunky.
I know.
Is the
I
way
know. At
I
one point, I
describe
think
it.
Jack was using before he joined Stern. He was doing some
He
homebrew
definitely
stuff.
did because I watched one of his videos
Yeah. Anyway,
showing you how to use it.
I mean, look, if they've developed some code that allows them to do builds like that saves them money and time, then I'm
Yeah,
all for it. Basically,
sure.
um,
I'm just envious of it
I mean,
because it
I mean,
appears to be pretty powerful.
yeah, I mean, I just want to draw a line under X-Men and we'll move on because I'm conscious
Sure.
of time.
I did want to ask you one more thing about the flippers because
Sure.
people will ask it. Did you feel it was, as we already discussed, it's offset? Did you feel like you needed to adjust your gameplay
No,
style at
not
all?
at all. Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, I didn't even know they were. I didn't even notice that they were offset until about half an hour in. I mean,
Okay.
it just doesn't register as an issue at all.
Cool.
I just
I
because
just wondered if you were sat there hunched to the right of the game or anything like that. But
nah,
yeah,
not at all. I mean, I just felt that it just worked. I didn't feel like. I mean, from a playing point of view, I didn't feel I was playing this game different to any other pinball machine, but this was a different pinball machine, no question about it, right? So from that perspective, I kind of feel that they've definitely they've definitely went out to build something different. I think they've succeeded.
hmm
I would personally on this game. I mean, I'm an X-Men fan, so theme works for me big time.
Sure.
I like I say I'd be pushing the premium button on this game, but if you don't and you get the pro, I don't think you're going to miss out massively on the game. Just maybe some of the kind of the wall under glass moments might not be there for you. Um, of all the games that I have seen where there's a choice between pro and premium, this one for me really ticks that premium box more than anything else. I mean, I'm a premium buyer, hands up,
Sure.
right? But I look at Foo Fighters, I look at Deadpool, I look at Godzilla, I look at Venom, I look at Bond. Actually, Jaws is the other one where I think premium is definitely the choice to make. But this one, I would, if you can, and look, these things aren't cheap. I would go the whole hog for the premium. I think you will.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think you
I've got
won't regret it.
premium. It was a no-brainer for me, just
I
because
think you won't regret it.
I love toys.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. If you like toys, it's a no. Again, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
What else do I want to add? I think that's probably it on X-Men.
Okay.
If I haven't
What's your
answered,
thoughts on the artwork?
the artwork is stunning. Actually, the back glass for the LE is mind-blowing.
Okay.
The mirrorization of it is on another level.
Nice.
I noticed that right away. It's the first time I've walked up to a backlash and thought, "Holy shit!" I just looked at it like Godzilla. It's mirror, but like, well, whatever.
I honestly will say, Neil, I think this is the most excited I've seen you about a pinball machine in a while.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's been a lot of, the last 6 months for pinball, there's been a lot of negativity about prices are high and the sales are shit and people are losing money and
Sure.
and look, those things are real, right? I'm not just dismissing them. I put a lot of work into the club. We got the UK Open coming. I've just been at a great tournament, which we'll talk about in a minute. I went up to play this game and I came out buzzing. I didn't want to leave. I want to play this game all freaking day. I want to open the boot of my car and stick it in the boot and go home with it. That is how I felt. And I can't remember the last time I wanted a game so badly. Walking Dead, right, which is my favorite game.
2014 or something, isn't it?
I was desperate. I ordered one new. I played it. I wanted one. I couldn't get one second hand. I ordered one brand new premium. It arrived on the 27th of December, and I was like playing it all through New Year.
Wow.
It was so. I watched Bones tutorial every day for about 6 months because I wanted this game so badly. And this isn't FOMO. This is I want this game.
Sure.
Right. I like this game. I want this game. I think Stern have really moved the needle. And look, I hope it sets we got Avatar coming. I hope that moves the needle as much as Stern have moved it.
We'll see.
Because I think that's what people want. They want they want and pinball's been great at this over its 200 odd years. It's reinvented itself. It's done stuff new.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I was playing, I was playing John Wick, I was playing Jaws. Those are great games as well, no question about it. But I came away from that experience thinking I really like this and I want to play it more. I also add some caution. There are things about this game that the code isn't finished yet, right?
Sure.
And I played it for an hour. I normally like to play games for a few days before I take a call on them. But my view right now is I want this game. I want it tomorrow. Hurry up and send it to me.
Nice.
Let's move on.
Yes.
So why was I in Chicago? I was in Chicago for Papa 21. It was a memorial tournament for Lyman Sheets. The whole team smashed it. It was in a location called Interium, which is just actually not far from where Stern are. It's not far from the airport, near where Expo's held. They set up a whole tournament, and I do the UK Open, so I know how hard that is. Andy Bagwell, Penny, Josh Sharp. There's so many people involved in it. Jermaine, Ruth Ann Bagwell. They just totally smashed it. The games were lovely to play. I mean, I had a real bad bout of jet lag. I think this cold was what's been driving it.
Sure.
I couldn't get my hands on the ball. I think another day of qualifying I would have got there, but it was excellent. There's a load of great people there. It was a laugh. Hang out with Tom Graff of Fox City Pinball. Did a bit of commentating. Ray Day won the main. It was great to see. Ray just felt like a man on a mission the whole weekend. He wanted to win. I saw him leaving early one night. I didn't say anything, but I thought he wants to win this. He's going home early to get a good night's sleep so he can come back and win it. Stephanie, who won the ladies, she played amazingly well. And Derek, who runs Yegpin, he won the classics again, played really well. The classics were all EMs,
Right.
which was excellent, but also it was excellent to start with. And I thought, basically to qualify, you had to roll the game.
What qualifies as a classic?
Good question. Anything that's kind of older than DMD, I think these days typically.
Okay, so solid state and EM basically.
Yeah, solid state EM. So and look, it was great to play these EMs. Some of them were new to me. Some of them I played before. But when you have to roll the game, and effectively all you're doing is hitting the same shot over and over and over and over again, it starts to get a bit kind of grindy.
That's the part I've always wondered, like with EMs, if there's a certain shot that you can make repetitively, safely,
Yeah.
and everything else is like danger zone, does it not just become a little bit boring watching
Yeah,
someone?
absolutely. And look, if you had to commentate on it, which I did twice, like commentating on Zach McCarthy hitting the same shot over and over and over again in old Chicago, it's not good TV, let me tell you, right?
Yeah.
It was heavy lifting. I mean, it's great that he can do that. It's an amazing skill, but
Sure.
it's kind of boring, I'm afraid.
It's chopping wood, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
literally.
exactly. That's it. It's like playing an RPG where you're trying to get up to level 12 and you're level 1. It is painful. But the event was amazing. They smashed it. I'm definitely going back next year,
Okay.
assuming it's in the same time, location, etc. It was great to see Rady win it. They gave away 2 pinball machines in a raffle. They raised. I think Andy said something like they raised close to 20 grand for the charity, which is a suicide awareness charity,
Okay.
which was phenomenal. And it's on stream if you want to watch it. It's on Fox City Pinball's Twitch channel. You can go watch
I
it if
think
you
I
want to.
caught it over the weekend, if I'm honest with
Yeah,
you.
I pinged it a little bit on my Facebook for people to tune in, especially when I was commentating. And the vibe around Lyman, rest in peace, was really cool. People talking about their Lyman stories, and there's a lot of photos and just discussion about how great Lyman was and how much we miss him. So Penny and Andy and Josh, who I think were the kind of the geniuses of this, well done, you knocked it out of the park, and I'm looking forward to next year. Let's move on from that. We're going to kind of blast through a few topics. So Avatar, it's coming. Probably haven't got time to talk about it now, so we'll wait till the reveal. But
Yeah, I think that's only fair, right? We'll give them a full crack when it's actually being revealed.
Actually, the designer of Avatar was at the event. I
Okay.
think he said it was the 12th that they're revealing it.
Not far off
So
then,
not
yeah.
far off. A couple of days. Looking forward to that. Stumbler working with Dutch Pinball. Well done, Davey.
Congratulations.
And look, hopefully that means that there's some cool stuff coming out of Dutch Pinball.
Yep.
Make sure you get paid before you send them anything. And
Look, with what's happened with Haggis,
exactly.
I'm not saying Dutch is in the same boat at all, but in the
They're,
way the
they're a
pinball
small
industry
company,
is,
and they've
yeah,
had their tumultuous times, right?
yeah.
And Davey, we love you, mate. Even if you are from down under. No, I mean, a Stumbler's great. I've just these lollipop boards phenomenal. I just put the new Godzilla topper bit in that
Oh, that upgrades it.
yeah, Paul Boucher put together. It's absolutely epic. So well done to Dave on that. A huge congrats to Kevin and Lorraine who got married today. Kevin, a great friend of the podcast and a Pinball
Congratulations.
Republic fan. He's actually one of the guys. Yeah, he's actually the guy. I played his Walking Dead all night at an event. I literally hogged it, and then decided I needed to buy one. Great guy. Good pinball player. He's they got married today, so many congratulations. And then a very quick talk about Pinball Brothers. They've got a new
Yes.
distributor. It seems to be in fashion to change one's distributor this week. And I'm not a fan of that organization.
I think
And
you've made that pretty clear
build
since we've met.
quality but I know you rate them, Scott.
I think I've got a different window into or perspective, let's say, of the manufacturer, right? I mean, for me, every time I've spoken with them, they've been very transparent. They've been very helpful. They've always sent parts direct to me quickly, expedited. It makes it sound like I've had problems with them, but in all fairness, that was due to the fact I was sold a prototype,
Yeah, I
which we
mean, you
won't
were
go into.
pitched
It's
up
a
at
whole
the
story
start.
over that. If you want to look it up, look it on Pinball Info or Pinside. It's all over there. But anyway, the version I've got at the moment, which was, I believe, from Lee Riley, that's been pretty flawless. I've not had a single problem with it. And I imagine some people do have a lot of problems with the game, but look, for me, bottom line of it is, I mean, it's weird. Some people say, "Oh, I wish Alien was made by another company." I'll be honest with you. If another company had made this, i.e., Stern, back in their days of when they just did a stripped down game, I wouldn't want to have made it. Now I would. If Jack was making it,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, it would look amazing now.
Yeah.
But back then,
back when they were building it, yeah, I can
yeah,
see
I
why
was just,
I can see why folks would have that view. Much like why
yeah,
people say, "Oh, we want this, we want these guys to get this license, these guys to get that license." Actually, I would say, and we'll see what Dutch comes out with next. But
sure,
I look across the industry, and everyone's kind of putting the same prices out, kind of similar bombs.
yeah,
There is the hard reality is to build something costs this amount of money, whether you're Stern, Jersey Jack, or some other organization,
sure.
and if
I think,
you've got to make enough money to be able to invest in the
yeah.
next thing, and I think
And for
that's why
me, at least,
prices
if
are
I want a game to be mass produced,
yeah,
it's Stern all the way.
yeah,
They are the kings for the reason, and they've got the best factory, they've got probably the best experience and the best team, to be
yeah,
honest, to go behind it. I feel like what I have liked about the competition side of it, the competitive side, is that because there are other businesses in the market, that I think Stern have stepped up. I genuinely think that's a positive thing. That they've looked at what other people are doing in the market, and whether they've been doing it better or not is arguable. But they've seen that and gone, okay, we need to make something different, something that will reignite the market. And I definitely think they've done it with XMEN.
yeah. So I agree with you, except I don't think Stern pay a huge amount of attention to what others are doing. I think they play their
I
own
hope they
game.
do for everyone's sake. I think they shouldn't. Otherwise, that's a form of arrogance, right? I
No,
think anyone
I
should
think it's
always look at,
listen.
even if you're at the top. Let's say you were Microsoft, right?
Yeah,
Would you turn around and just ignore all your competitors because you'd be like, well, we're the kings. We don't need to be.
no, but I think what you do is you listen to your customers, right? And if
Sure.
customer says I want X, Y, and Z, then you give it to them.
Yeah.
And I think that that obviously picks up some of the competitive tension because customers will ask for stuff they've seen elsewhere, right?
Yes. But
But
that's what I mean. That is symptomatic then, isn't it?
I can tell you, right, when I'm building something or when I'm doing something in the industry I'm in, I'm not paying any attention to my competition. You know why? Because I want to be better than them.
Understandable.
So
Understandable.
you
But
know,
again, I look at, like, for instance, Alice in Wonderland, and I'll be honest with you, that was damn hard for me to choose between that or X-Men.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think what made me choose X-Men over Alice is that I want the
you'll
game
get it.
to arrive sometime
Yeah,
this year.
exactly,
Yeah, and I
exactly.
feel like I'm not saying Dutch can't do it, but their
You got to
track
wait a
record
what? Yeah,
explains to me that, like Chicago Games, right? You'll get the game you want, but maybe not when you want it.
yeah, exactly. No, I think that is if you're tying up a wedge of cash, you want to get it quick. Anyway, Luke, I
Yeah,
think on that bombshell, we'll press the pause button. Scott, as always, been a pleasure. What's coming up? The UK Open in 3 weeks time.
looming ever
It's
closer.
looking super exciting. Still, actually, post Papa and a few other things, some interest for people to come. But there's only like 20 tickets left, so if you are wanting to come, now's the time to sign up. And Pinball Republic, go from strength to strength. We've been pretty busy. I'm looking forward to being down there on Thursday. Diane and team ran the first Southeast Pinball Leagues. She's taken over. She's done a great job. Lots of positive feedback. So a lot going on in Pinball. Expo's coming up soon. And there's a lot to be excited about. We've got other game launches coming. It's a great time to be in pinball this next few months. I think it's going to be fantastic. But before you make a call on whether you like a game or not, go play it.
If you
Because
can.
if you can.
We
But
haven't got the luxury of VIP
no,
access to
but
Stone's factory.
in which case say, well, I don't think I like it, but I haven't played it. Be honest about it. Because,
Sure.
I look at John Wick as an example. That is a good game. But people
I imagine it is,
like
but
Venom, they're saying, "Oh, this is a terrible game."
look, I've played Venom and I do like it, but
Exactly.
comparatively, I'm going to have an X-Men any day of the week
Yeah.
if I'm going to choose between one Marvel comic and another.
which gives Stern an interesting set of challenges as they develop and move forward.
Definitely.
Look, once again, thanks to Stern for hosting me. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll probably do a podcast. We might do a quick one ahead of the UK Open, or we'll do one after.
Yeah, we should, right? Because
a
that'll be a
few
good time to discuss Avatar as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's maybe in a couple of weeks' time try and
Yeah.
do these monthly. Trying to keep them around an hour and a half. We're at about an hour and 5 minutes, which I think is a good one. But get out there, go visit locations, put money into locations because they need the money. Learn how to enter a tournament, have fun, go build a homebrew like Scott's doing. I'm excited about that because based on Cyberpunk, I'm thinking that's going to be fantastic because I know you'll put your heart and soul into it, mate. So good luck with that, and
Gonna need it.
we will see you soon. And remember, it's just pinball.
Catch you guys later.
Bye bye.